We are
It
rolling.
wasn't working earlier. I got to go check it. See if
Okay.
it's working. I want to close the door there.
Okay, that would be good. Chill on silent. And we are rolling.
Oh, there we go. Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder for SportsNola.com for a Monday. And the New Orleans Saints are now 10-3, tied for second in the NFC with the San Francisco 49ers, who got beat at Arizona, which opens the door for the Saints. They still have to get that one-game edge on San Francisco to claim that coveted second spot. And they kept pace by holding off Tennessee 22-17. And Lenny, I do mean holding off.
Absolutely. What a crazy fourth quarter that was after really a pretty uneventful first three quarters, unless you're counting yellow flags. But the fourth quarter, I mean, it was play after play after play going on, and it was pretty extraordinary how that game really turned and became kind of almost a slugfest there in the fourth quarter.
No continuity whatsoever in the game, largely because of the penalties. Tennessee really didn't stop the Saints. The penalties stopped the Saints throughout the course of the game. And in a strange way, knocking Matt Hasselbeck out of the game was a negative for the Saints.
Well, Matt Hasselbeck and Jake Locker are two totally different types of quarterbacks. And, one of the things that I heard earlier today, people talking about Tim Tebow and his another amazing comeback for the Broncos is you've got Locker is a lot like Tebow. He's a very mobile guy, and if you get a lead late in the game, which the Saints had, playing with a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, you're going to play some zone, and you've got a guy who can extend a play. And you got a guy with good feet who can extend a play against the zone, like a Locker, like a Tebow. That's advantage to the quarterback.
Yeah, in fact, if you watch the Bears and the Broncos or kept an eye on it whatsoever, you would have noticed that the Bears had a spy, primarily Craig Stelz, on Tebow all day long, and Saints didn't really have time to prepare for that against a guy like Locker, who, by the way, has a future in this league. As you look at the Saints' performance on balance, Lenny, offensively, they moved the ball extremely well. Penalties killed them, and they just weren't able to finish drives.
Exactly, and I'm sure that this is an ideal situation for Sean Payton. You got to win, but you got a lot of things that you can teach coming out of this game. Whether it's the penalties, whether it's the inability to finish, all of those kind of things will be talked about in quite an extraordinary detail today on Airline Drive, I'm sure.
Yeah, and unless I get a clarification on a rule, I still don't understand how Jimmy Graham's catch is not a touchdown. He catches the ball, clearly has possession, the first foot clearly in, and the second heel touches inbounds before his toes touch any part of the white, which it barely did after that, which everybody seemed to focus on. And I guess my question again is, when was the heel not considered part of a foot?
Exactly. The only thing I don't know is if you have to have your entire foot down, assuming you do put your entire foot on the ground at any one point. If his heel just hits the ground and then he pops it back up and the other part doesn't touch, who knows?
How do you define a foot? I mean,
let's get our officials expert in here and talk about that.
I think it's clearly worth a discussion when you consider it. The Saints, in fact, lost 3 replays in that game. Basically, might have got a fortuitous spot on the quarterback sneak by Locker later in the game. And of course, we praise Sean Payton for his daring play calling and always playing to win. In this game, it almost cost him a win because the incomplete pass cost the Saints 40 seconds.
Exactly, and it's one of those things you probably figure it's a safe pass at that point, but very nearly got intercepted by a defensive lineman. It got batted away, and it did stop the clock, and it gave Tennessee one more chance, and it was a very scary one more chance as it turned out.
Yeah, Jolon Dunbar may be the most improved player on the team. He made the biggest play of the game for the Saints yesterday, and that's good because they needed a linebacker to step up. He did so when Vilma was hurt. He continues to play well. Bottom line is they win the game. They've won 5 straight. They're 10-3, and again, when you don't turn the ball over, in particular on the road, you're going to win.
It's 4 straight games now without a turnover. That is uncanny, and I go back to an amazing number that we talked about last week. Over the course of the season, these Saints have fumbled the ball, not lost fumbles, fumbled the ball an entirety of 3 times in 13 games. They keep that up, it's going to be an NFL record.
Yeah, truly remarkable, and now it's on to Minnesota to take on the Vikings indoors once more. High school football and a great weekend of state championships, attendance dramatically increasing over a year ago. That's largely due to no live television, and the weather was good, allowing people to travel to the games.
Exactly, and you did have some area teams. Obviously, 3 teams from the Monroe area took state championships back home, but congratulations to John Curtis, St. Charles Catholic. You had other teams from the area competing for state championships, and when you get those teams that are in Southeast Louisiana competing, that certainly helps the gate as well.
That's right. It was a Monroe and New Orleans area festivication, if you will, based upon the 5 champions, and clearly a great victory for St. Charles Catholic, their first state championship ever, 9-8 over Amite, and what turned out to be the best game of the Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you and I have known Frank Monica for a long, long time. Congratulations to him and his team. His team went through an awful lot this year with overcoming injuries, and, you know, they still come away with the state championship.
Expectations always there for John Curtis, but they win their 24th state championship in a year in which J.T. Curtis captured his 500th win. What a way to put a cherry on top of the whipped cream.
No doubt, this may be the most memorable year ever on Jefferson Highway because of that trifecta: the undefeated season, the state championship, and JT's 500th win.
Sports NOLA TV, 6 p.m. Monday night, WHNO TV, Channel 20. And, of course, Doran Small, Brian Alley Walsh, special guests Tyrone Hughes and Coach Henry Rando. Tune in at 6 p.m. for Sports NOLA TV on a Monday on Channel 20. And, of course, we look forward to another great week, and of course we'll have a wrap-up coming up after next weekend, but a preview prior to as well, so we hope you'll stay tuned for that. For Lenny Vangilder, I'm Ken Trahan for SportsNOLA.com.